Welcome back to the channel and yet another Horus Heresy battle report. Today we're playing 2000 points of Death Guard versus Imperial Fists. The mission we're playing today is Tide of Carnage. So that's 3 points for capturing your own deployment zone, 5 for no man's land, and 7 for the opponents. We are doing hammer and anvil deployment type. Let's quickly take you through our forces. Here is 2000 points of Death Guard. For my HQ, my warlord is Callous Typhon. Then I have a Praetor with an Archaeotech pistol and a mastercrafted power axe and some melter bombs. Over here we have a Siegebreaker with an Alchem combi flamer, bolt pistol and thunderhammer. For my elites I have 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts. This one has Twin Las Cannon, Gravis Las Cannon, and Gravis Parafist, and a Havoc Launcher. And that one there has 2 Gravis Autocannons. For my troops, I have 2 tactical squads. One of them, the sergeant, has a Plasma Pistol and Lightning Claw. The other, the sergeant, has a Plasma Pistol and Parafist. Both of them have Nuncio Voxes and Vexillas. And we've got bayonets on this one and chain bayonets on that one. Still in the troops choice, I have a tactical support squad with Volkite calibers and an augury scanner. Fast attack, I have 2 sabres. They have Anvilus snub cannons, multi-melter and 2 sabre missiles each. For my heavy support, I have a Grave Warden squadron. One of them has an Alchem heavy flamer and a Vindicator. I'm using the Rite of War, the Creeping Death.
Okay, here is my Imperial Fist army to today. My warlord is Sigismund, and I also have Fafnir Ran. For elites, I have a 5-man Templar Brethren squad with a Vox and a Vexilla. I have 1 Contemptor Dreadnought with a Gravis Melter Cannon, Gravis Chain Fist, Melter Gun and Havoc Launcher. And another one here with 2 Gravis Autocannons and a Havoc Launcher. For troops I have 2 identical tactical squads with a Vexilla and the sergeant has a Combi Melter. Fast attack, I have these 10 currently baseless phalanx orders, but that problem will be resolved. Heavy support, I have my usual 10-man heavy support squad with heavy bolters, and I also have a Land Raider Phobos over here, and finally I just have a Rhino with a Havoc Launcher. And that is 1,995 points of Imperial Fists. Okay, quickly some things I just forgot. For Rites of War, I'm still kind of using no Rite of War, I haven't quite got enough specialised units yet. And I forgot to mention my Apothecary right there, with just a chainsaw and bolt pistol. Okay, so here's the Imperial Fist deployment. Let's start with Sigismund and the Templar Brethren are in the Rhino, and Fafnir Ran, the Phalanx Orders, and the Apothecary are in the Land Raider Phobos. Troops, my 2 tactical squads are here, and then elites, I have 1 Dreadnought here, that's the one with the Gravis Melter Cannon, and the one with the Gravis Autocannons is up here. And then finally I have my heavy support squad up here as well.
I deployed second, so I'm trying to keep out the line of fire. Hopefully I will be able to steal the initiative, and maybe we'll have night fighting, that'll help. Anyway, up front I've got the 2 sabres. Then there's a squad of Volkites with the Siegebreaker, and tactical squad with the Praetor. There's a Contemptor with the Las Cannons. Over here the Vindicator and the Contemptor with the 2 autocannons. Inside the building Typhon and the Grave Wardens. Wardens. And up in the building, the other tactical squad who will be holding the home territory. Right. Let's see if I can steal the initiative. I did.
Oh.
Death Guard turn 1. Okay, first thing to mention is night fighting is on. So we are fighting in the dark at the moment. So for movement, my Sabre Squadron has moved up there. I'm going to see if I can do some damage to that little group there. Tactical squad just ran in that direction. They stayed where they were. Dreadnought advanced up. Vindicator and this Dreadnought advanced up round here, and the Terminators have started moving. That tactical squad is holding ground. There's not going to be much shooting this turn. In fact, I think the Sabre is the only thing that are in range to shoot anything. So let's see what happens. Sabre has fired its weapons at that tactical squad and I managed to kill 2 of them. Close, but no cigar. Nothing else is in range. No assaults. So that ends Death Guard turn 1.
So first off, those tactical marines moved forward and the Sabres withdrew. Dreadnought moved up, Rhino moved up, Land Raider moved sideways. They stayed where they are because they're actually in range of those guys on the building. Dreadnought moved up and they ran up onto shooting. So the autocannon contemptor over here fired at the Death Shroud Terminators and killed 2 of them.
I'm going to need to take a morale test for that.
Ah, yes. Okay, my heavy bolted support squad just fired into that unit in the building and I managed to kill 6 of them. So this group here, the Land Raider that I just managed to get in range, fired its las cannons, and despite the cover saves that they got, I blew up 1 of them and killed 4 in that unit. And then the multi-melter from the Dreadnought fired, tried to kill it but only did 1 hull point and stunned the crew. And then this guy with his combi melter just did a last-ditch effort but failed to wound. I believe that is all my shooting, and I'm certainly not charging, so that was the end of Imperial Fists turn 1. Morale checks first. Right, so, they passed all their morale checks. Let's roll for night fighting for turn 2. I got a 2.
No night fighting.
No night fighting. On to Death Guard turn 2.
So to start with, Sabre moved back as far as it could go. Some only snapshotting. That tactical squad moved up behind the wall. Support squad came around the corner. They're going to see if they can do some damage to that Rhino. This Dreadnought moved a little bit closer. See if we can do something to that Land Raider. Over here, Vindicator, the Contemptor and the Grave Wardens with Typhon all advanced towards the oncoming storm. Let's do some shooting now. So over this side, the Sabre snapshotted at the Rhino but failed to do anything. Then the support squad fires its culverins at the Rhino and blew it up, but nobody died. The Contemptor shot at the Land Raider. I did do a glancing hit, but he evaded.
And then shrouded.
So he got away with that. Over to this side. Let's see what damage I can do. Right, so everyone here fired at the tactical squad, which I'll show you in a second. The Demolisher Cannon did a lot of damage. I haven't fired the Dreadnought, I forgot it was there. I'll get back to that in a second. The Grave Wardens killed a lot, and the tactical squad killed a lot. So there is in fact now 1 left. So, what shall I do with this? I think I'm going to shoot it at your Dreadnought. And I managed to cause 1 wound on the Dreadnought. So, you owe me a morale check for that unit.
Yes. He's good.
And pinning check for them, because they came out of a destroy thing.
He's good.
And they're all good. Right, that ends my shooting phase. I'm not close enough to do any charging. So, that's the end of my turn 2.
Okay, movement. So these guys moved up. The tactical squad lost 1 due to dangerous terrain. The tank moved up. These groups stayed where they are, and that guy just sort of moved a bit closer to the building. So, the Dreadnought fired, but again only did a hull point. And then the Templar Brethren fired into that unit in front of them and killed 1. They returned fire, but failed to do any wounds. Okay, this heavy bolter squad just fired into that unit in the building, and as you can see, it is no longer there. Okay, Dreadnought fired into the Terminators and killed another one. And finally, the las cannons from the Land Raider fired all the way at the Vindicator. It got a 3-up cover save, but I still managed to do 1 glancing hit and 1 penetrating that immobilized it. That's all my shooting, but I will be doing some charging, so on to the charging phase. Okay, so they wiped out the other unit in close combat, and they consolidated backwards a bit, but unfortunately that wounded one of them because of the dangerous terrain. That's the end of Imperial Fist turn 2, so on to Death Guard turn 3.
Okay, over here, the Sabre stayed where it was because it's not much use at the moment. Volkites moved back a little bit because they've got the range that they don't need to be so close. I'm going to see if I can take out that unit there. That Dreadnought stayed where it was. It's going to see if we can do some more damage to the Land Raider. This is immobilised now, so it's just going to stay there. It's in range of that Dreadnought, so that's going to be my target. Terminators, Typhon and the Dreadnought are moving up to engage these guys up here. So, to summarise my shooting phase, Sabre fired at the Dreadnought but failed to hit. The Volkite squad fired at that unit and I finished off 1 Brethren. Contemptor fired at the Land Raider but it saved. Vindicator shot at Dreadnought and I did 3 wounds. Yay. Then the Grave Wardens also fired at the Dreadnoughts and I failed to wound. And I always forget that Dreadnought. So that Dreadnought is now going to fire at that Dreadnought. Dreadnought managed to get lots and lots of hits, but not a single wound. Right, I don't believe I'm going to be assaulting anyone, so that is the end of my 3rd turn.
Okay, so movement. Starting over here, the Dreadnought jumped off of the scenery. And I realised I forgot that guy there. They all moved up, so they will be snapshotting this turn. The Land Raider moved up, and Fafnir around the Apothecary and the Phalanx Warders disembarked. They moved up, they didn't lose anyone in their dangerous terrain check this turn. And then the Contemptor moved up, and the Templar Brethren moved up. So, first I move that guy that I forgot, and then shooting. So, they all snapshotted into the Terminators and did 1 wound, and then that guy fired off his Combi Melter and finished off the Flamer guy. Okay, Autocannon Dreadnought fired at Autocannon Dreadnought and did 1 wound. Okay, so this group here, the Phalanx Warders bolt pistoled into the Terminators, they didn't do anything. Then the Land Raider split fire, it fired the Heavy Bolter into the Terminators, didn't do anything. The left las cannon into the Vindicator, didn't do anything. And the right las cannon into the Dreadnought and did 2 wounds. Okay, so that Dreadnought fired, it finally managed to kill the Sabre, and it exploded as well, which managed to kill 3 of the Volkite Charger units. The explosion did catch the Templar Brethren, but they managed to save. I do believe that is the end of shooting, so charging.
They've got to take a leadership test. They're okay.
Right, on to charging. Okay, so charging. These guys attempted to charge even though they would have needed a 12, but I failed to charge obviously, so I just did the surge. And then these guys charged, they got overwatched and suffered 1 wound, but they made it in. Okay, so I made a mistake in this combat. I moved into his deployment zone, so because of the creeping death I should have made a dangerous terrain check. I did, and I lost 1 guy, but I still won the fight and killed everyone. So that's good. That's all the combats. So that's it for Imperial Fist turn 3. On to Death Guard turn 4.
Okay, things are not looking good for me at the moment, so desperate measures. Typhon and his lone Grave Warden are going to see if they can take that whole squad out. You never know. Well, that Dreadnought is going to take out the last Marine there. That's immobilised, so it's not moving, but I have high hopes I can do some damage to that squad there. Finally, that dreadnought just stayed where it is, because it's going to see if it can take out the Land Raider. Okay, let's see what happens. So, starting with my 2 dreadnoughts, I shot at that. I managed to stun it, causing a hull point, and that one killed the lone marine in front of it. Right, the Vindicator fired up at the unit there, and I killed, I've already forgotten how many I said, 4 of them, and they passed their morale check, and Typhon and the Grave Warder fired everything to there, but only managed to kill 1, and they passed their pinning check. Right, assault. It's just going to be Typhon and the Grave Warder charging into them. Okay, they made it into combat, but he did cause 2 wounds, which I put on the Grave Warder. Right, let's see what happens in the fight phase. So, it didn't go anywhere near how I hoped it would. I was going to say expected, but I didn't really expect much. I caused absolutely no wounds, and Typhon took 1 wound, and the Grave Warden was killed. But I passed my leadership. Right, that is the end of my 4th turn. On to Imperial Fists turn 4.
Okay, movement phase. Let's start over here. None of these guys moved. Obviously there's a combat there, so that moves. That is stunned, so it couldn't move anyway. The Dreadnought moved up. These tactical marines moved up, and because they left the building and went into the deployment zone, they have to make 2 dangerous terrain checks, which killed 4 of them, but they passed their morale check. And these guys moved around here, they did the dangerous terrain check, and the Vox suffered 1 wound. So these guys managed to fire at the Dreadnought. They did manage to do 1 wound, despite only wounding on 6s. And the Land Raider fired its heavy bolter into the Dreadnought and did nothing, and its las cannons into that. It did get a shaken, but because it's in their deployment zone, it used Shrouded and shrugged it off. Okay, this Dreadnought just tried to do some wounds to that Vindicator, but failed completely. Okay, so the only thing that happened in the charge phase was these guys attempted to charge. The Dreadnought overwatched and managed to finish off the Vox guy, but they got in. So, in this combat, Sigismund managed to do 2 wounds to the Dreadnought, but the Dreadnought managed to do 1 wound to the Templar Brother and Sergeant. I did win the combat, but Dreadnoughts are fearless. So, onto this one. So this combat over here, I managed to do 2 wounds on Typhon, and he did 1 wound on Fafnir Ran. That marks the end of Imperial Fist turn 4. On to Death Guard turn 5.
Okay, we're not going to fight a 5th turn because I've decided to call it. My only scoring unit left is the Vindicator, but that gets cancelled out by that unit. So he's got a Land Raider there, and actually that's it.
Yeah.
But it gets more points than I do. He also destroyed more units than I did, and it's a very good chance he's going to kill Typhon here.
Which if he slay the Warlord as well.
So it's a victory to the Imperial Fists yet again. I've got to seriously think about my army composition because it can't be going this bad for me every time. Anyway, first time out for the Death Guard. I like the Creeping Death, but I'm going to have to try the other one when I get some more heavy support squads. Maybe that will help me. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very shortly. Goodbye.